To start with, I'd like to introduce our intern that we had for literally 9 months last year. Helped us immensely getting our ground station talking with our cockpit. And without this young man, you know, we'd probably still be working on it. So let me introduce you, Deuce. His call sign's Deuce, but it's Victor Loera. He's from Cal Poly. He's a senior, will be graduating this year, and we hope to get him back.
Thank you for coming. So I'll be presenting a little bit of the research that I did at DROID. My goal was to do the evaluation of the DROID system as a UAV pilot training tool, an expensive way to do it. A little bit about myself. My name is Victor Loera. Again, I'm from Cal Poly Pomona, a senior aerospace engineering student. There's some of the stuff that I'm a member of the AIAA, AUVSI, just all the aerospace stuff. At the university, I'm developing an open source modular flight computer and also a micro UAV for mapping. And it's going to be based on a tailless delta wing airplane. This was my commute for 9 months. I live in Rancho Cucamonga, so it's 5 minutes from here. And I had to drive all the way to Edwards Air Force Base every day, back and forth. So it was a 200-mile trip every day, but I thought it was worth it. I mean, I worked at DROID, and it's a really awesome place. The problem with UAVs right now, they're trying to integrate them into the NAS system, the National Airspace. And of course, there's safety concerns. There's public safety and air traffic, and that kind of leads to the whole collision avoidance issue, avoidance with other aircraft and avoidance with terrain. As of now, to get permission, you need a COA, and in that you need a see and avoid capability, so you need a pilot in the loop, and that's what I'll talk about today. So for UAV pilot, you kind of have two kinds of piloting. You have a point and click, where they just kind of point and click on waypoints and the plane just flies around. And then you have conventionally piloted UAVs, which are flown with stick and rudder. They're a little bit simpler to fly just because they can do the landing themselves and the takeoff. And the Predator B is an example of that kind of aircraft. Here's other examples of DROID aircraft that are flown, that are RPV, so the X-36, X-48, and the Icana. The issue that they're still very difficult to fly, even as RPVs. And here's an example of one story that just came out a couple of months ago that shows a crash of an MQ-9 as it was coming in for a landing. It's very difficult to fly. And the reason is that you're losing a lot of your senses where you're looking at just a small screen. And all their videos coming in through a small screen, you can't look out, you can't look back. So that's what makes it extremely difficult. And for that, you need a lot of training. So I'll talk about the DROID UAV training system. The goal of the DROID UAV system is to provide pilots with a comprehensive training program. It simulates flight operations in the terminal area for Icana, and it's used to develop and improve pilot awareness by acting as an intermediate step between simulations and actual flight. So we're trying to get rid of some of the sim stuff and have them fly an actual physical aircraft. Here's the DROID UAV pilot, so you can see the planes over there on the right. It's a modified BT Super Flying King. It's using commercial off-the-shelf hobby-grade components. And here's some of the stats. The system itself it's composed of 3 parts. One's the onboard avionics system. One's the portable ground station, which receives all the telemetry, and another is the command center, which is your graphical user interface. So that's where you see the moving map, some of your primary flight displays, and that's where you input your waypoints. And here's the actual cockpit, which is something that I worked on, trying to integrate this with the aircraft. And that's inside the van. If you want to see it later, it'll be in there if you get to experience the simulator. And that's actually a picture of a pilot flying it. For evaluation of the system, I use kind of more traditional ways of evaluating this, which is the Cooper-Harper scale, PIO ratings. And to evaluate the actual display, which is very subjective, I use this modified Cooper-Harper tool, which was developed at MIT. So it kind of goes through the same flow pattern as the Cooper-Harper scale. So you come in and you answer some questions and it gives you a rating. So it kind of gets rid of some of the subjective matter. The most important thing when you're doing this evaluations are pilot comments. I can't emphasize how important this thing is. I think most of our good data comes from the pilots experiencing the actual flights and telling us exactly what's wrong with the system. So for flight testing, we've developed some flight test cards, light pattern work and heavy pattern work. And our goal is my goal is to stay within the DROID parameters of the flight envelope. So here's a test card example that I developed, which has the, like I said, the ratings on there, and it kind of gives instructions to the pilot. Very traditional. Some of the results, we were having issues with the heads-up display. So if you go inside, you'll see some of it. There's lack of colors. There's latencies in it. Another big issue is the video dropout. We're sending live video to the inside of the cockpit, and we're having issues, especially during banking. So that's probably one of the biggest nuisances that we have. Of course, the aircraft is small, so it's susceptible to wind. You can only fly when it's basically there's no wind. Some of the cockpit stuff has been fixed. Of course, you're missing some of the cues, audio cues, control force feedback. And this is the current heads-up display. So you can see it's very static, no colors. You can't differentiate a lot of the cues. And one of the proposals is to go to a full digital system, which will be this, which is color-coded. It's a little bit clearer for the pilot. And of course, this is kind of an overall way of improving this system that we're having. So it's kind of the stuff that some of the research that I'm still doing now, even though I'm not at DROID right now, I'm doing it at the university. So in conclusion, even though the DROID pilot has deficiencies, I think it still has the potential for an important training tool for UAV pilots through just the suggested improvements. Thank you.
What I'd like to do is take some questions. You're welcome to ask questions to Victor, myself, and we'll just take a few minutes, and then we'll get into the other project that we have, which is what we're currently doing is the Auto GCAS project, and Mark Skugel will speak to that. So, any questions out there?
Is the Inspire program just geared towards high school students, or is it geared towards students who are, looking for a college, career, looking into aerospace engineering? Because, like, for instance, I have a son who's he's gonna graduate this year. He wants to fly for the Air Force.
Well, go on to some of the NASA websites. There are several co-op programs that are available just for that, and you need to start applying as early as possible.
Thanks.
And all you have to do is show that you're interested in this, a future in STEM education, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Thank you.
Oh, and yes, to answer your question, Inspire is a 9th grade to 12th grade only.
Do you think competitions would help inspire additional research?
I didn't catch the question.
Do you think competitions would help inspire research?
I do believe that, and within the Inspire program, there is a lot of individual student competitions that they have. They have to actually compete to get some of these, everything from day trips to maybe it's a two-week experience to the 8-week experience.
Besides a 9th grader, I have an 8th grade Girl Scout troop with STEM. And do you do anything with Girl Scouts?
You'd have to go online. I don't know the whole educational program, but they do have a plethora of educational programs that cover pretty much all ages. And if they're 8th grade, that's a perfect time to get them started and inspire.